So I guess like first thing that I want to just say as a disclaimer, I'm not gonna talk like too loud, just for the reason because like Caedrel's sleeping right now. So I don't want to be like too loud in case it wakes him up. I just wanted to do like kind of I guess like a short stream because I know that a lot of things did go down today. And I know that probably like a lot of you guys have a lot of questions. A lot of you are probably like, what the fuck? Yeah. But yeah. So I think a lot of you guys have questions, and I mean, I guess like for me, I'm still like not even sure exactly what's going on. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, the reason why I wanted to do this stream today is just because, for lack of a better word, I feel like for the last like day actually, there's been like a lot of shit going on. And yeah, okay. So the only thing that I'm gonna preface, just like with this whole talk, is just so everybody knows, it's not really like I'm having a manic episode, right? I know that a lot of people are probably thinking to themselves like, Dante slept 2 or 3 hours every night for the last like 3 nights. He's probably just having some kind of like crazy manic episode and losing his mind. The truth is that's not the case. The truth is I've been losing my mind for literal years. Um, I've been in situations, for lack of a better word, that I, to a certain degree, put myself in, and then it would always just make me feel extremely weird, and I would always feel very conflicted about a lot of different things, which I guess is one of the things that led to a lot of the insanity. Um, and today is honestly probably one of the first times, I think, over the course of the last few years, where I truly feel like at ease, right? Because I feel like when you're a content creator, especially, you get to a point where you have this like almost like line in the sand that you're gonna sit there and draw, where you're gonna say, I'm friends with this person, I'm acquainted with this person, I interact constantly, and my community does as well with this person. And then you're gonna notice like certain, I guess, like behaviors, you're gonna notice certain, let's say, patterns, you're gonna notice certain things, and then it calls stuff into question. And the problem for me over the course of, I guess, like the last few years is that you see that someone does something um, that you perceive as a slight in your direction, right? You see that someone's gonna sit there, they're gonna like, let's say, shit talk you. Someone's gonna sit there, they're gonna like talk about you badly. Someone's gonna sit there, they're gonna like say stuff that you just think to yourself, why? And then instead of like actually resolving the situation, right? And like reaching out to that person as like a one-to-one and being like, yo, like, can you just like tell me what's actually going on? That then you go down this like toxic rabbit hole of like, oh, well, I'm not really going to bring up my true issues with them. I'll kind of like mask it a bit and then we can play charades in a way, you know? So I feel like a lot of stuff over the last few years has been kind of just like, you have like an issue with someone, you don't want to bring it up with them, and not because of just like the backlash I might receive from them, but then also like communities, right? All that stuff because it's an added pressure. But then today, I feel like I just got to a point where I'm willing to just say fuck it all, for lack of a better word, and I'm willing to really just sit here and be like, you know what? Fuck acquaintances that I have, fuck people that were just gonna sit there and like keep me around for I guess like gain on their end, and then like I'd do the same and return it in kind, like whatever it might be. And today I'm just like thinking to myself, I think that's honestly one of the reasons why for so many years it was insanely hard for me to really because okay, I'll just tell you guys like a little bit of something, right? Um have you guys ever heard of the term, right? Where if you I'll actually read you the quote, okay? Give me a second. He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster, And if you gaze for long into the abyss, the abyss also like gazes into you, right? So pretty much like the kind of thing that it's trying to say is that if you put a mask on for so long, it eventually becomes your face, right? I think that one of the reasons why being in a relationship with someone that truly cared for me and someone that truly like trusted me and I trusted them was such like a hard thing for me was in part because it's almost like when you're so used to a life of like almost like surface level interactions, because I can honestly say, and this is just me as a content creator, I can honestly say that throughout my entire time as a content creator, I've interacted with hundreds of streamers. From the ones to the top, all the way to the ones at the bottom, from 2019 until nowadays, right? And I can honestly say that out of everyone I've ever interacted with, everyone, every single person, there's maybe on one hand, the amount of people where I could sit there, look at the, I guess, like friendships I formed with them, and I can honestly say, you know what? Those are things that I never questioned, you know? Because with all the others, it would just be like a thing that you read, a thing that you see, a thing that you hear, right? Things that people are going to tell you, things that you're going to notice yourself, patterns of behavior, right? And the truth is that it's not really a surprise, you know? It's not like it's some kind of like world-ending revelation, because at the end of the day, streaming as an industry isn't just a stream, you know? It's like, yes, I can sit here and I can say, I'm just a kid with a camera that turns the camera on, presses go live, and plays his hack room. But the truth is, for everyone that does stream, it isn't just like you're sitting there and you're talking to a chat, as much as you'd love for it to be just that. It's that it's your career, right? And it's that if you were to sit there and you were to work at a McDonald's, and every time you ratted out another employee for slacking off, they would give you a raise, right? Think of it that way. How many employees do you think would sit there and prioritize wealth, wages, higher wage increase, whatever it might be, over actually being like decent, for lack of a better term, right? And the thing about me, from my end, I want to say, is that I never tried to like start anything, right? So I know a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but Dantas, you fucking like, you took a flame and you turned it into a roaring inferno, right? And I agree with you. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to like say, oh no, I didn't do that. No, I 100% did. But it's just because the fact that that flame even exists in the first place means that I just sat there and I said, I'll turn it into the inferno if it means that then that flame ceases to exist afterwards. Do you see what I'm getting at? So the thing is that the reason why today I've been going, I guess like as crazy as I have and everything, is because I've been seeing the number 222 everywhere, you know? And this is, I guess, going to sound like schizo. This is going to sound like you're fucking crazy, whatever it might be. But the truth is, every time that I sat there, and in my life, I would always see the numbers 222. It would always signify massive change for me. The first time I ever saw it was when I first got out of like that online e-dating relationship that I was in, something like 4 years ago now. 4 years ago, I think 3. And at the time, it was someone that was e-dating for like 7 months. Things like ended. And then I started doing the final transfer. And all of a sudden, it was a huge blow up, right? And then the next time I saw it was when it was a situation in which I got cheated on. And then for a few months, I saw it. And then it was Europe, right? My first Europe trip, where things like also kind of like blew up, you know? And then the third time I saw it was before Korea, where before my Korea grind, I thought to myself, this is where the story ends, whatever. But then when I went to Korea and I saw what I was capable of, I said, this is where it can't end and it only begins. And now for me is the point where I sat there and I feel like I'm at this like diverging crossroads, so to speak, right? And while I could sit here and while I could do what most people would do and just remain silent about a lot of things, kind of like sit there, just say whatever it is, what it is, and just like preserve my acquaintances that I have within the scene, preserve surface level I guess, friendships that, I've been a part of for a little while. It's just at a point where for me, I would rather almost sit there, turn a new leaf, and say, you know what? If it takes me having people that are going to sit there and say he's crazy, people that are going to sit there and say that he lost it, that are going to sit there and say that, he just like went insane, he's crazy now, like whatever it might be, if that's what it's going to take for me to truly look at my life and feel content with it, then it's what I'm willing to do. The truth is, and this is the thing that I want to clarify, right? So I'll talk about it once, just like the situation with like Laura and stuff, and then I don't think I'll have to message it or mention it again. But the situation with Laura and pretty much my like take on it was just that I felt like I had to be in a position where I was alone again to realize what that life was like, and to remind myself of like what it feels like to get kind of like thrust back into the roaring snowstorm, for lack of a better analogy, that is the online world, where you're going to sit there and you don't know who you're going to trust. You don't know who has positive intentions. You don't know if people are just trying to use you, just trying to get close to you. You don't know if people like you for who you are or what you are, what you offer them. Like you don't know any of these things. And the reason why is because career and fame is mixed in with personal relationships, right? And in any industry where that happens, this is like obviously what's bound to follow. So the thing for me is that I felt like I really had to sit there and go through with the, I guess, like splitting up, but not in the sense that it's because I felt like we had to remain apart forever or anything like that, but just in the sense because I had to remind myself of the reality that I've been subjecting myself to for 4 years. And it's almost like the relationship with Laura, right, was like a Band-Aid, where I'd sit there and I'd put the Band-Aid on, but it's like if there's a wound that is so deep, right, and even while I'm in a relationship, I still have these like surface level friendships with people who I know are just sitting there and waiting for the right moment to strike, or people that I know never actually cared about me and would just like pretend, or things like this, then it's almost like it's better for me to remove the Band-Aid, clean out the wound, and then actually allow for some kind of like healing, and then afterwards kind of see what happens, right? So I know that a lot of you probably aren't really going to understand, but I only hope that the ones that are capable of understanding do so, right? So just out of curiosity, because this one you guys come into the mix, just out of curiosity, how many of you kind of like get what I'm getting at, right? Like, one, if you get it, two, if you're just like, I really don't fucking understand. Because I just want to know. Adanta, so you're saying that for you, a loving girlfriend was just a Band-Aid? No. What I'm saying is that when you sit there and the majority of the people that you're going to have constant interactions with, and the majority of the people that, because you have to understand that for me, my stream isn't a persona. And this is I think like the deciding factor that's going to make you guys understand me. For me, my stream was never really a persona, but it's almost like I would put up an act for the benefit of my stream and of my audience and stuff like that. And with certain people that I knew that it was like, like these people have done things to me that are insanely weird. These people have done things to me that I sit there, I question, I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And to sit there and have that, and then to just like, because I agree, I probably should have brought it up with them, 100%. Should I have been more open? Should I have been more communicative? 100%, right? But I didn't, And the truth is that I'm in the situation that I'm in now. And the reality of the situation that I'm in now is that with the way that things have gone for the last few years, it's almost like I went in my attic every single day. I stored stuff in a box. And then I just sat there and I prayed to God that that box would never get opened. Does that make sense? And now it's just at a point where it's like I could sit there and I could choose to myself, do I want to keep adding stuff to that box and see just how much it grows and then maybe one day it just like stays there forgotten? Or would I rather open it, really confront absolutely everything that there is, and then go forward without any fears, without any doubts, without any trepidation? You know, it's just a thing where, truth be told, do I know if I'm making the right answer or not? Or do I know if I'm doing the right thing or not? No, right? At the end of the day, I'm just a guy that sits here, saw the huge situation happen, and I said, this is what I feel like I have to do, and as a result, I will, right? But I just feel like for me, if there's one thing that I'm not going to ignore, it's that feeling, you know? And the feeling of inner peace that it gives me to sit there and to really be like, you know what? Not anymore, is just something that I can't give up, you know? That feeling of inner peace where I can really sit there and be like, if these people want to try starting shit with me, then I like, because the truth is that, let's say you want to look at the Tarzan situation, for example, because I know a lot of you guys are going to bring it up, right? A lot of you are going to look at the Tarzan situation. And the way that I saw that situation is there was this girl that I was, and still am, right, in love with, 100%. And she felt the same about me. And to have a guy that will parade himself as my friend, and that will parade himself as this like guy who just wants the best of me, and to have that guy sit there, bring up private matters, right, between us to other people to get them to hate her, right? To then sit there, bring it up to his stream so that then she can receive death threats, receive hate, and then when he can sit there and go live and say, but I didn't mean it like that, it disgusted me to no end. And I think he is an awful, disgusting person for doing that, and I will stand by that until the day I die. Until the day I die. Whether or not a lower reconciliation or whatever you want it to be, right, would have happened, the fact that he would have been willing to do that and the fact that he showed that that was a part of his character when I never brought up for content the problems that he had in his relationship, I never brought up and I won't bring up, right, the things that he and his last relationship had went through or stuff like that, because I have that limit in my mind. The fact that he doesn't just shows me that it's almost like, how can I even consider you as a human being? How? To sit there to direct hatred towards my, at the time, girlfriend, to send people to shit on her. How can you sit there and pretend that you are a good friend and you're just doing it because you want what's best for me? And you know what the most fucking disgusting thing about that freak of a person is? I'll tell you. It's the fact that when he sat there and he did that stream, he was constantly saying, you know what? Dantes, I feel so bad for him, bro. Laura's so bad. You know, he was sitting there and saying that constantly. And then today, when he realizes that I'm completely sick and done with his shit, what does he do? Yeah, you know, I feel so bad for Laura. Dantes, he's like the worst guy ever. He is a disgusting, vile creature in-game of a human being, and I want absolutely nothing to ever do with him again. So that's my take on that. Because the thing is that I know a lot of people are going to ask, and you know what? For me, for once, I'm going to sit there and tell you guys about how I truly feel, right? Now, in regards to other things, are there situations with other, I guess, like shimmer friends that I've had where they have done things or said things or people have told me things concerning them, or I've noticed patterns in behavior that then would make me doubt the sincerity of our friendships 100%. And I am willing to 100% take accountability for the fact that instead of bringing things up with them, I would sit there and just let it kind of fester, 100%. At the end of the day, life is weird, right? And I don't want to use it as a cop-out, but I'm sure that all of you can relate to situations in your life where you sit there, you have preconceived notions, and then big events happen and you realize like, damn, I really just can't be the same anymore, you know? And you're going to sit there and you'll be like, fuck. Like, I shouldn't have done that, right? I'm not happy. I'm not proud of the fact that I did. But you know what? All I can do is just learn from it. And for the people that are willing to discuss things, for the people that are willing to like talk things out, for the people that are willing to like go to the extent that they're willing to like work things out with you, you go there with them. And then for those that are like, yeah, you know what, whatever, then you just like leave it be, right? So that's like the thing for me. I just wanted to say that the entire reason why, because I saw a lot of people talking about, especially the Tarzan drama. I saw a lot of people bringing up the fact of like, oh, but why are you like going crazy? Why are you bringing it up? And it's just the fact that I'm gonna be honest. When I saw that guy try to take pot shots at Laura, right? Someone who never wanted anything but the best for me. And I know how ironic that statement's gonna sound because then you're gonna say, yeah, but Dantas, like, why'd you break up with her then? If she never wanted anything but the best for you, like, why? And I mean, the truth is for me that it's just the fact that I had to like see what life was like without and to see what I was going, I guess, like back to realize what I could have and what I could build on and what a future could look like, right? So that's what I want to talk. That's the only thing I want to say. But to see him like take those pot shots and be like, oh, does that mean I can come over now? That just sent me over the edge. And if you want to sit there and you want to say, yeah, but Dantas, it was just banter, go fuck yourself. Sincerely, if you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, yeah, but Dantas, it's Tarzan, it was just banter. Genuinely, please, for the love of God, unfollow, unsub, never watch me again because I do not want you here. The fact that that man can sit there and disguise every single attack and every single vindictive thing that he does as just banter or just a joke, and the fact that I enabled it for as long as I did, right? And the fact that it's like, I enabled it to a certain extent, I agree, and I'll take responsibility for it, but I won't do it anymore. 100% not. I just can't anymore, right? Not gonna lie, I think therapy might not be a bad idea, no troll. I'm considering it, honestly. Dantes, be a man and just admit you're like every other dude. You don't have to be virtue signaling over just wanting a fuck buddy and letting it last too long. You don't gotta crash out over this, lol. So, see, okay, let me explain something to you. The thing is that I would sit there and for years I would tell everyone I'm lonely. You know? I would sit there and be like, yeah, you know, guys, like whenever I end stream, the fact that there's like no one really there, it affects me, you know? The fact that I feel like I can't really share things with other people, it affects me, right? And to a certain point, the reason why my grind took over my life in the way it did is because I wasn't able to really commit to anyone that I couldn't trust, and I didn't trust almost anyone, right? And the thing that you have to understand is that it's not like, oh yeah, you just wanted like a fuck buddy or anything like that. Because if that was the case, then I would have never made things official, ever. For me, the making things official and stuff like that was when I said, you know what? I'm actually gonna try, you know? And I've always prided myself on my, I guess, like introspection, but it's weird because for the amount of introspection I have, I guess like things like self-control, things like stopping self-destructive tendencies, whatever those might be, I wasn't really able to do those, you know? So, yeah. Because like the truth is, at the end of the day, I'm not a man, right? 100% don't think I am. I'm just like a boy, you know? I'm a boy that at 19 was able to make a full-time living off of playing video games and streaming online, and then sat there and made his online world his entire reality, right? And by doing so, you get to a point where it's like, it's just like by doing that, it just makes things really difficult for actual self-improvement and self-growth. Because if you sit there and you always have people like you, for example, that are going to try to like justify behaviors or stuff like that I'll have done, then the problem is that it's almost like if you never feel any kind of accountability, why would you bother changing, right? Because the truth is that change is hard. And the reason why most people undergo change is because they realize like, I can't keep going on like this. But if you always have a steady career and you always have people that are willing to support you, then sitting there and just like never really changing is something that's easy to do. It's the easy way out. And it really is, you know? And that's why for me, it's just a thing where I've always liked the fact that I gave myself the ability to change, and I don't want to stop that now, you know? So, like this whole situation, everything that blew up over the last few days, everything like that, it's just like, it's a lot to handle. It's a lot to deal with. And I know I'm gonna have a lot of people that are gonna sit there and be like, Dantas, you're dealing with, I guess, like a breakup. You're dealing with the loss of what we perceive as close friends to you in the scene. You're dealing with a lot of people shit talking, like, how are you handling it, whatever it might be. But the truth is that for me, I don't really mind because it's kind of like, okay, I'll give you guys a crazy analogy, right? But it's like you have a chicken that disguises himself as a pig, and he sits there and he starts playing with like all the other pigs, right? And he sits there, his life is fine. Everyone kind of like accepts him and he can go on. But it's like, how can you ever sit there and think to yourself, how can I be a pig when I'm a chicken? You know? So then it's almost like, even though for me, it's like, I guess, a little bit hard to deal with all of the things that I'm reading, all of the things I'm seeing, all of the self-doubts I'm having, all of the situations that are coming up, and me trying to find out the best way to handle them. It's just a thing where I think that if I stay true to myself, and if I stay true to what I know I am, rather than what I've become, that it'll all be okay. Does this make sense to any of you? Is there any chance the relationship comes back? Well, so like the thing that I will say is that it's not like a guarantee that we're gonna get back together or anything like that. But the thing that I will say is that I mean we are still like kind of talking, because at the end of the day, it's like you have to understand it's this weird fucking thing because it's not like there was any disloyalty. It's not like there was any like anything bad that happened. It's just the fact that I would always sit there and always have these like weird doubts and questions. So, I mean, I'm just extremely thankful for the fact that she kind of like understands it all and she's so like willing to still interact with me in any way whatsoever. But yeah, right now it's just about like kind of like navigating it and see like what happens. Adontes, what is the nuke Tarzan talks about? So this is what I'm going to tell you guys about Tarzan, and it's going to be extremely indicative of his character. So for all of you that want to sit there and fanboy over him, for all of you that want to sit there and idolize him, as I had done for a while, I just want to tell you about this story, and we'll see if you still feel the same way. Let's start. Tarzan sits there, and he has a personal issue with Laura at the airport. After the personal issue happens, she ends up blocking him, right? He messages me. I talk to him. I talk to her. We kind of like get to a mutual understanding. Tarzan, instead of telling me that he was okay, or that he wasn't okay with the mutual understanding, doesn't message me for days at a time, and instead goes behind mine and Laura's back and DMs every single person that anything was ever, I guess, like said against to say, yeah, she's a really awful person. That's what he would tell them. Pretty much like, yeah, if you had any misgivings about her, they're 100% true because, yeah, she's really weird. But that wasn't enough for him. So what he did was he then decided to go on his stream a few days after, and he decides to go and start randomly bringing it up. He starts to sit there, he starts to insinuate things, make it seem like there was some kind of cheating, make it seem like there was some kind of crazy situation that happened. And the entire time he talked about this crazy nuke, right? This crazy nuke. So what happens is I hear that and I'm fucking furious, absolutely furious. Because how could someone that you consider as a friend go publicly to shit on your partner at the time? And how could you have such little social awareness at the age of 29 years old after having this career for 10 years that you don't know that the exact things that you're saying are going to lead to the exact outcomes that you expect, but then you're going to play the fucking victim and pretend like you never meant it like that? Fuck you if you're watching this. So what happens is he sits there and he does that. After his stream, I message him. I'm like, yo, let's talk. Let's talk, dude, because we have a lot to say. So we sit there, we get in a conversation, and I was telling him at certain points, I was like, okay, like, why the fuck are you bringing it up publicly? And then he sits there, and to me, he says, Dantes, I'm going to be honest. There's this crazy nuke that I have, and if Laura ever brings up anything personal about me, I'm going to ruin her. Those were his exact words. I am going to ruin her. Now, sit there, chat, and answer me the question of how the fuck I would ever want this person to ever interact with me in any capacity ever again after hearing that. So he sits there, says these things, right? And I am absolutely fucking like livid, right? And I say, okay, dude, well, just tell me then, because if you've ever considered me as a real friend, tell me what this crazy nuke is. Because as someone that you call a friend, don't I deserve to know? So anyways, he says, okay, sure. The crazy nuke that would ruin her is that at one point when you guys were arguing, she was talking to TF Blade, and I was sitting there, right? And TF Blade and Detention can both vouch for this because they were both in the vicinity. And she was sitting there talking about issues that you guys had in your relationship, but afterwards she was saying like, oh yeah, well, he's not really that bad of a guy though, because he tries to change. And whenever he realizes that things he does are like bad, he does genuinely try to change and try to work towards it. So I sat there and I was like, wow, that's your crazy fucking nuke, you disgusting endgame, right? Like, that's your crazy nuke, bro. Really. That's your crazy nuke. Nice. And the fact that that person is willing to go on his stream today and sit there and talk about how he has this and this is what I mean when I tell you guys that this is indicative of the kind of person he is. Because the thing is that truthfully, he knows that it's all bullshit and he knows that it doesn't really mean anything. But the fact that he can leverage it in a way that makes him seem like the bigger guy for not exposing this crazy secret is something that adds credibility to his image. Do you understand the kind of person you're dealing with now? Do you understand the kind of person that he is now? So that is the reason why today I completely lost it. That is the reason why today I was like, I'm so fucking over this person, right? Because if you want to sit there and you want to say things to other people privately, whatever it might be, sure, you might have misgivings about others. You might want to bring it up with other people. I've been there too, where you sit there, you'll read into a situation, and instead of bringing it up with the person, you talk about it with others. I've been there. I've done that. For me, that's not even the issue. For me, the issue is when you then decide to make everything public and paint yourself as some kind of superhero and paint the others as some kind of villain because you are so obsessed with the idea of being a victim that you cannot exit that mentality. And the fact that you want to sit there, right? The fact that you want to sit there and you want to go and you want to make it so that your community thinks that you're this great guy. Hey, how about if you want your community to think you're a great guy, instead of exposing private things during friendships, you instead sit there and not tell all 9 of your teammates every game. How does that sound, dude? In game, obviously, right? How does it sound that maybe after the 40th Reformation, this time you actually mean it for once? How does that sound, dude? Instead of sitting there and being like, hey, dude, actually, Dantes is this really evil guy, and yeah. Anyways, I'm the victim, yeah, but I'm not going to go too into it because, I'm just the bigger person. Yeah. Definitely, bro. Definitely. For sure. You do it too. What I did was, and this is exactly what I was saying, is yes, to a certain extent, I am guilty of the thing of bringing up private grievances privately with other people that I considered as friends within the scene. True. True. In the same way that you're going to sit there and you're going to have a problem at, let's say, you're going to have a problem in your friend group and you're going to confide in one of the other friends. Yes, right? I did the same. The difference is that careers are mixed. The difference is that all these things happen. Is it the right thing to do? Probably not, right? Are there better ways to approach it? 100%. But what I never did, and for the love of God, what I never did was sit there and throw the initial rock. When did you sit there and before the whole situation, which Tarzan publicized, before he sat there and he made it public, when did I throw the first rock? You want to look at the Elo Santa situation? When did I throw the first rock? When people are going to sit there and they're going to throw something at me, sure, I'm not going to turn the other cheek. Does that make me a bad guy? Maybe if you're religious, you know? But it's like, at the end of the day, the problem that you guys have to get, it's just like, the second you get your online community involved, it becomes much more than just a private grievance, because now it becomes a targeted attack. That's the thing. Dantes, why do you hate anchovies so much? Okay. So the thing about anchovies, years ago, we sat there, we get in a Discord call after having, I guess, like an issue in solo queue. We talk, things go well. I assume that we're all good. It's chill. Then after a little bit of time, we don't talk for a little while, and then I'm sent this like clip where Sanchovi sits there and he's pretty much talking about how like he doesn't understand how anyone could watch me because he feels like you'd have to be like a retard to watch me or like whatever like that, you know. And I was like, cool, that's a really fucking weird thing to say. And then later on, he ended up blocking me on Twitter randomly when I never interacted with his tweets or anything. And there was one time where Jutut was hosting an event, and he was saying that it would be, because like from my end, I never said there would be problems, but he was like, hey dude, Sanchovies has a big problem with you. And as a result, I don't think I could have you in the same event as him because of it, right? So it's like, how do you expect me to sit there and like a person where, from my understanding, I've never sat there, we've never had any kind of like dispute or anything, and then he's saying they're just like shadow throwing these like shots or stuff like that. I mean, if he wants to sit there, message me, clarify, if he wants to sit there and tell me his side of things, I'm more than open to listening. But from my perspective, it was just like these like weird, unwarranted things that I would see, and I would just like be extremely confused. If Tarzan gets self-awareness and realizes his mistake and apologizes, are you willing to accept his apology or no? I mean, the thing that you have to understand about me is that when it comes to like, I guess, keeping enemies or whatever it is in the scene, or anything like that, it's not something that I necessarily like. Like, if I can put water under the bridge, I'd be more than willing to. Would I ever talk to the guy again consistently? Never. Would I ever be his friend again? Never. Would I ever want to do content with him again? Absolutely never. But if to sit there and to just put an end to things and say, you know what, I won't bring you up, you won't bring me up, sure, no problem, you know. How about you watch Tarzan's VOD and commentate on the points he made because he made some valid ones? Yeah, and half of the valid points he made were lies. Like, this is the thing you have to understand, if not even 70% of them. When he said that he told Laura that she was, what was the word he even used? I don't know. But there are literally 4 people that can vouch, without a doubt, that can say that he said that Laura was, like, overreacting, 100%, you know? There are people that can sit there and vouch for the fact that we had a sit-down conversation where I was literally telling Tarzan, seeing all of these posts about people saying that you should be switched out as a jungler is literally breaking me, and I'm just begging you to please stop. And then to have him be like, oh, yeah, but it's just banter, bro. Like, I don't get why you're taking it that way, you know? Like, there are people that can vouch for this as well. There are people that can vouch for the fact that nobody really wanted to VOD review because the aura that he was putting off was just the fact that he was too good for everyone else, that no one else took it at the same level of seriousness as he did. And then as a result, it just painted this entirely weird narrative over the entire Brazil trip that was, okay, 4 people aren't really taking it seriously. One of them is hard fucking trolling, and then there's only like one guy that's like taking it serious, right? Is Yamato one of the persons who knows the truth as well? I mean, listen. If you were to ask TF Blade, if you were to ask Yamato, right? If you were to ask even probably Detention, they would all tell you the truth about the Brazil trip. The truth about the Brazil trip was that everyone wanted him gone. Everyone. Every single person that was there, they were like, you know what, Dantes, we don't want him anymore. His attitude is just unbearable. And I was the one that was saying there, and I was like, you know what, guys? Like, let's just give it a bit of time. Let's try to work things out. When he was sitting there, and for 2 hours, while I was on the way to a podcast at one point, messaging me about how he wanted to leave and how he was done with it, and how I should have like stepped up more as a team captain and like defended him after TF Blade told him to shut the fuck up, and he then told TF Blade that he would kill him. threw out a couple of various insults about TF Blade's parents, and then threatened to fight TF Blade in person, by the way. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And this is the most disgusting thing about it all, is that man is willing to sit there and say, you know, when it comes to in-game versus IRL, I'm just different, bro. Like, the way that I am in-game, everybody can attest that I'm not the same IRL. But I literally heard you say to TF Blade in Farsi that you were going to kill him in person, 1 meter away from one another. Kill him. Literally saying that he was going to kill him, talking shit about his parents for literally 2 minutes as well. Literally 2 minutes. And the entire time, Giga Chad TF Blade. The entire time. Nah, shut up, go away. Literally. And then he's sitting there, I'll fucking kill you, TF Blade. I'll fucking kill you. And then TF Blade, dude, just go do your own thing, you know? Like in-game, obviously. So this is the thing that you have to understand is that, dude, it just makes me so fucking angry. Like, I understand that people grow at their own pace, and I understand that sometimes people need insane reality wake-up calls in order to really learn things, right? And for me, I'll admit that the last few days for me has been one of those moments, right? Sitting there and making the decision to split with Laura, and seeing afterwards the way that I felt, seeing afterwards the things that people were saying, the things that people were telling me, trying to give me their inputs or advice, whatever it might be, having various conversations and stuff like that, it made me think differently about a lot of things, 100%, right? But the thing is that at a certain point, you need to be willing to acknowledge faults, you need to be willing to acknowledge these things and all that stuff, right? I truly hope that no person is actually like born evil, and people always have the capacity to improve and the capacity to like work on themselves and whatever else it might be. But yeah, it's just a little bit interesting to say the least. You lost a girl you called the love of your life, and even now when you were talking about the breakup, you still talk about league drama. I mean, okay, so the reason why is because like I don't want to get too into it, right? But in the same way that she's always been amazing throughout the entire relationship, she's still amazing to even like this minute, right? And the thing is, we have talked a lot over the last few days. We're still trying to like understand a lot of things ourselves, right? And we're still trying to like figure a lot of things out, right? So the thing is, for me, the reason why I'm not going to sit here and talk about the breakup or whatever it is because it's still something that I'm discussing with her, and it's still something that we are in the process of like understanding and like trying to really like come to conclusions to and all that stuff, right? So that's the reason why I'm not going to sit here and go for hours and talk about the breakup, because that's something that I don't feel I need to talk about with you guys. I think it's something that I should just talk about with her. Do you see what I mean? The reason why I'm bringing up Tarzan is because that is a man that I don't think I could ever look at without feeling a rising sense of anger, and as a result, I have no inclination to talk to him whatsoever. And since he was so intent on being the first one to make everything public and being the first one to throw shots and shade at someone, right, publicly in front of his audience, then of course I'm going to sit here, and of course I'm going to respond in kind, and of course I'm going to sit here and try to defend my image, try to defend the situation, because the truth of the matter is I don't have anything to hide. That's the truth of the matter. Right? And the reason why I say I don't have anything to hide isn't necessarily because there aren't things that people could potentially bring up that would make some people think like, you know. The reason why I say that is because I'm at a point right now where I'm confident enough in myself that I can face almost like the demons of the past, you know. And if there are people that want to sit there and want to like attack a way that I used to act or a way that a behavior that I displayed or stuff like that, then that's something that I'm more than willing to like kind of like come to understandings with and understand right now. Tarzan just went live, I swear. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? Just ask yourself that one question, is just why wouldn't he? Of course, the man, like, listen, at the end of the day, guys, no matter what he says, no matter what narratives he tries to make you believe or anything like that, you just have to ask yourself one question, and one question alone, and it would put an end to all doubts, to all fears, and to all anything that you might have. The question is, who made it public first, and why did they even make it public? That's the only question you have to ask. The only one. Because the truth of the matter is that there is absolutely no reason to bring up private grievances between yourself and someone else, right? And private disagreements that you have in front of an audience when you know for a fact that audience can be used to be weaponized against other people, and you know for a fact that what you're doing is going to have certain effects. See what I mean? It's just that at the end of the day, I can genuinely find no conceivable universe at all that I myself would ever bring up private issues that I have with someone on stream. Because I can honestly say that when it comes to especially relationships with other content creators, right? Have I ever sat there and been the first to throw the first stone? Like, if you guys can find something about that against me, and you can say, no, you did it here, then please, by all means, let me know. Let me know. But in my life, I can think about several, like, times where if you want to point out the Elo Santa thing, he started it. You want to point out Tarzan, he started it. You want to point out Scrub Noob, he started it, right? You want to point out any of these things, it's like, at the end of the day, I was never the one to cast the first stone, because for me, when I see private shit, I say, that stays private. But if somebody wants to sit there and they want to turn your private relationship, your private friendship, or whatever it is, into content for themselves, and into a thing where now they can try and gaslight multiple people about certain things, then why wouldn't they? You know? He's basically saying that you only think about yourself and your social image. Who would have thought that a man whose career, whose goals, whose pride, and whose joy is revolving around his social image cares about his social image? What's next? Tarzan's gonna have the new crazy revelation that swimmers care about becoming better at swimming? That bodybuilders are gonna care about getting more muscle? You know? What's next? Why are you capping, boy? You shit-talked me to Stevens. That's why I shit-talked about you on stream. It's just what you do in private behind everyone's back. So, Elo Santa, right? I'm just going to say this to you. Because I know we've had our fair share of disagreements and all that stuff. But all I'm going to say regarding me, you, and Stevens is that I was never the one that sat there and said, yo, Stevens, this guy's really blowing up. What it was is Stevens would sit there and he would tell me, hey, dude, you know, it's kind of crazy that Elo Santa is blowing up because he's your biggest competition, because you're both, I guess, charismatic, you're both good looking, you're both all these things and stuff like that. And it's like, don't you find it like a little crazy and shit like that? It's like, what you have to understand is that obviously if people are going to bring up things to you and then you respond about the things that you bring up, what do you want me to say? Why am I going to sit there and why am I just going to randomly shit talk others? This is the other crazy thing. Today on his stream, Tarzan said Dantes shit talked Solar Baka behind his back. And this is the most disgusting thing ever. So the truth is, right, that I was sitting there and at one point, months ago, me, Tarzan, and Solar Baka got on a call because Tarzan was saying that Solar Baka was playing bad. We get on a call. After we get in the call, Solar Baka sits there, and a few more times we meet each other in solo queue, and he was kind of like weird towards me, spam pinging me, right, typing weird things, and I was always confused. So I tell Tarzan at one point, I'm like, dude, I find it like a little bit strange that ever since we had that one conversation and shit like that, that he's sitting there now, he's like doing all this, you know? And then the fact that Tarzan sits there and turns that into a situation where, yeah, he was shit talking you, bro. Like, does this not speak volumes for his character? My question is about Charisma. Are you guys friends or not? So the thing about Charisma is I'm still talking to him about this situation. Because one of the problems with me, and I'll admit this, that this is 100% a fault of mine, is that sometimes if I notice a pattern of behavior in someone, and then you hear that someone says something that kind of like confirms that pattern of behavior, then I just jump to a conclusion where I sit there and I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's how it is, right? And the thing is, I was talking to Charisma earlier today, because it's just been a thing where You see things over the course of years, you think to yourself certain things, and then you're going to bring it up with someone that you consider a friend, right? And then your friend later, for his stream content, is going to bring it up to kind of throw you under the bus because for some reason calling his support an oxygen thief isn't paying the bills as well anymore. I don't know. I don't know why he decides to do it, right? But it's just like, it is what it is, So when it comes like the whole like charisma thing, I DM'd him and we're gonna see if we can like talk about it or whatever else. Bro, at the end of the day, what kind of person is going to sit there and be like, hey dude, like I'm just gonna sit here, I'm gonna shit talk your girlfriend at the time online, and she's gonna receive literal death threats because of it. You guys know that after he made those comments on his stream, for literal days, she was having trouble sleeping and trouble eating because there were people messaging her, calling her a whore, people sitting there taking his words and thinking that they were something more than they actually were, and like literally just going in on her because of it, sitting there and going and fucking like messaging her all of this horrible shit. And he enabled it because he was the one that started it for no reason. A 29-year-old man that is 10 years in the scene. You're telling me that this man, after 10 years in the scene, doesn't know the impact of his actions? You're telling me that this man doesn't know the impact of his actions of bringing up things online and then seeing the impact? Especially, by the way, after the fact that he sat there and I told him the impact that his words had on me during Brazil. And you're telling me that you don't learn at all and then you do the same thing with my partner at the time? No. So this whole thing of, yeah, but Dantes, you guys were friends for years. Listen to me and listen to me good. If I'm friends with someone for 10 years and then at one point they start dating someone and they break up and then I sit there and I start like trying to get with that girl, should the guy that's sitting there seeing that be like, oh yeah, but we're friends for 10 years, bro, do what you want? At the end of the day, what a friendship is it's a mutual respect. When you show that you have absolutely zero mutual respect, that you are willing to send a targeted missile, in other words, right, and sit there and attack a friend of yours' partner, I'm sorry, but you can go fuck yourself because you are no true friend. That is just the reality of it. Can you please explain them the girl situation in Germany? I really don't want to deal with it without the truth being out there. Okay, so now let's talk about another situation that I've had to deal with. The girl that asked who I am? Yeah, okay. So let me talk about another situation, right? So one of the things about me is that before dating Laura, yes, I had a lot of talking stages. I did, right? I would sit there, I would talk to girls, multiple, right? And I would always, most of the time, right? I would always sit there and I would like be like, hey, by the way, just letting you know, exclusivity, right? Stuff like that is just not really something I'm looking for, right? Most of the time I would, right? There are some times where I think I didn't, but I never would promise it to people that I didn't intend on fulfilling it with. Does this make sense? So it's like you're sitting there, you're talking to someone and you're telling them like, hey, just letting you know we can talk, but don't expect anything out of it. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to tell you 100% that we're going to date or anything like that, So anyways, what ends up happening is that when I go to Germany for the first time, and this is something that, again, I'm 100% willing to take fault for, and if you guys want to look at me and be like, oh, that's a really shitty move, right, then I completely understand. But first time I get to Germany, I'm talking to like a few, right? And there was one who at one point saw a clip because at the time I just met Laura, right? So we didn't start officially dating from the time that we first met. So as a result, we sat there and there was this girl that I was like talking to, and she saw a clip of Laura on my stream and she was like, oh, who's that? So then, I don't know. Like, I should have been upfront. I should have been forward. I should have been like, oh, yeah, like, I'm talking to her as well, whatever it is. But instead, what I said was like, oh, it's just like, I guess, like, it's another content creator, whatever it might be, right? So I kind of, like, shirked away from the subject, wasn't completely upfront and honest about it, which I accept. And it's something that I do regret, right? But then what ends up happening is that after about maybe, like, a week and a half, when I realized that me and Laura really did click, I was like, okay, you know what? I want to pursue something with her. So every other girl that I was talking to at the time, I told them all, I was like, listen, things are going to be serious between me and Laura. And I'm just letting you know right now that I will be entering a relationship, right? So I sent that message and then afterwards closed the DM, and that was the end of it, right? Now, this is where the problem comes. Over the course of the last few months, that girl has sat there, messaged Laura, right? Screenshots of our conversation saying things like, yeah, whatever, like, he's a bad guy, all of these things. And just sitting there trying to, like, I guess, sway her opinion of me. And then afterwards, when that wasn't enough, she sat there and she would like stalk Laura's Insta reels and shit like that, and just like constantly comment shit on her stuff, borderline harassing, right? Trying to like make fun of her, all of these situations. She ended up trying to also follow my brother, and then she was following him for whatever reason. So maybe she tried like getting back at me by getting with my brother. I don't know what the fuck that was about. And yeah, so that was like that situation. But the crazy thing is that people on Twitter are trying to like spin that into a thing where, oh, like look at him, he's like this not loyal person or anything like that. When the truth is that, listen, I could give my phone to the authorities, right? I could give it right now. And the worst thing that they'll find is maybe if they scroll 6 months back, they'll find a picture of Lulu on my camera roll. You know what I mean? Like, ever since me and Laura got together, I've been 100% in terms of like loyalty. I've been 100% sitting there and like, she's the only one that I'm talking to, the only one that I'm like expressing myself to. She's the only one that I'm sitting there and like letting in on my life, right? Apart from maybe like friends, family, whatever it might be. So that's the thing. It's just like, it's this weird situation where like before getting in a relationship, I was in a lot of, I guess, talking stages. And then the problem is that while I was in the relationship, a lot of these like talking stages felt kind of like, they just felt like I wasn't, I guess, a good person. And then as a result, they would sit there, they would try leaking messages to her, they would all try like doing stuff to kind of like, in other words, like sway her opinion of me or whatever else it might be, right? So that's like the situation. It's that, yeah, I was a shitty guy during talking stages. I'll 100% take accountability for that. But when it comes towards like loyalty towards other women, you know, it's like the only girl that I have loyalty towards is like my girlfriend, my mom, my aunts, you know, like there's no one else on there. Oh my god, what is this shit? Tarzan claimed that you showed a fan account video shipping you and Amaru and showed it to Laura recently during the Brazil trip. There is more context we need. So the context is that at one point, the topic of Amaru came up because of cosplay, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? So it's because at one point, me and Laura were talking about maybe doing like a cosplay thing where she would like do a cosplay on me, right? Like dress me up as her or something like that. And I was telling her, I was like, you know what? I'm not really into the whole fucking like, into the whole thingy, like the whole idea of it, because I don't want to do like makeup or things like that. So then what ends up happening is, I think like a little while later, during the Brazil trip, Laura brings that up, right? While Tarzan's around. And then at one point, I said like, oh yeah, you know, also part of the reason why me and Amaru never did the collab was because she has these like weird schizo viewers that were like making these creepy fan edits of me and her and like trying to like say that there was something going on between me and her when there wasn't and there never was, you know? So, I mean, like, was that kind of a weird thing to say in the moment? Sure. Was it a bit of like oversharing on my part? Sure. Was there any malicious intention behind it? No. Is Tarzan trying to make it seem like there was malicious intent behind it? Of course. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the thing I'm trying to like explain. Like, this is exactly the thing that I'm trying to explain to you guys, and I just hope that those that are willing to listen with an open mind do, right? Because what I'm trying to get at is like, this man has repeatedly, over the course of years, turned entire friendships and stuff like that into content shows in a way. For example, not to name drop or anything, but just to give you guys a little bit of, I guess, lore. There was one time where Tarzan and TF Blade, they were sitting there and they were chilling and they were on good terms. And then randomly, Tarzan just decides to, on his stream, leak the fact that TF Blade's account that he was playing on years ago was randomly bought for no reason. Just says like, oh yeah, you guys know, by the way, that TF Blade's account's bought? Just for no reason. Because Tarzan had asked him, where do you get your accounts? TF Blade told him, and then Tarzan sat there and used that against him, right? So what I'm trying to make you understand is that when you have a person that's willing to turn private matters, private things that you're going to discuss, private things that are going to happen between you and them, into complete content fiasco shows, I want nothing to do with that guy, for lack of a better term. You know? Tarzan just does that though. I don't think he meant any bad by it. And this is the exact problem. This is like legitimately the exact problem. This is legitimately the exact issue. The issue is that the guy's going to sit there, he's going to make people feel like shit. It's just a joke, it's just banter. The guy's going to sit there, he's going to say horrible things. Oh, I don't mean it like that. The guy's going to act in the most inhuman ways online and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, it's just like in game though, right? The guy's going to sit there on Discord calls with me, demean me, sit there, fucking make everyone believe I'm the shittiest player on Brazil, right? And whether or not you think I am, that's besides the point. The fact is, if you're contributing as a friend towards a negative image of a friend of yours, what kind of friend even are you, right? Do you see what I'm getting at? What I'm trying to say is the fact that, like, the guy sat there, and you know what the craziest thing? The craziest thing is when I made my tweet earlier today, the guy was saying there and he was like, no, but the thing is, I made a pinned comment after he told me, and I was like, dude, don't flame Dantes, right? And then he found that pinned comment and legitimately 6 hours later during the same stream was flaming me again. And then the next day the pinned comment's removed and I have to sit there and every time I tune on his stream, it's just, dude, Dantes is the worst jungler alive. Thousands of messages of it. But then one person types, you underperform this game, he insta-bans them. You know, it's like, it's just the craziest thing because if you're going to enable a behavior within your community, and you're going to enable a behavior that's sitting there from the people that watch you, how many times are people going to be able to make excuses for you and say, he didn't mean it like that, bro, until that person finally learns that maybe that's not an okay thing to do. Maybe that's not an okay thing to do. Maybe at one point, guys, people should actually sit there and say, damn, this really affects that other person, right? And I'll have someone I know right now that says, but Dantes, you're toxic in your games as well. True, you are right? And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it's any kind of justification or anything. But just because I exhibit a bad behavior doesn't necessarily mean that other people that exhibit that same bad behavior, you know, it's like, it doesn't make it a right thing, you know? Because the truth is, am I toxic? Yes. Am I toxic 24/7? No. Yeah, sure, in my second Korea trip, when I was under so much stress and pressure and all these horrible like feelings of like self-doubt and like, am I even like good enough and all that stuff? Yes, during that trip, 100% I was like saying things I shouldn't have said, you know? 100% have I over the course of my career said things that shouldn't have? For sure, right? But if people are going to sit there and try to hold me accountable for it, then, you know, it's like, have I always been willing to listen to that accountability? No. But, I don't know. I guess all I can say is that I'll try, right? Every coach said you were bad, though. And see, this is the problem with you guys. The thing that you have to understand is that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people said. It doesn't matter what people believed. All of these things, it's inconsequential. The truth of the matter is that if you considered someone a good friend, why would you sit there and when you are actively doing things that make it so that people will view that person even worse, and you know the effect that it has on that person because he tells you, why would you sit there and keep doing it and then say, but it's for your own good, dude, because people should be willing to face all criticisms and they should be able to like overcome it because that's just what being an alpha male is. Like, how can any kind of, you know what I mean? Like, it's just unreal. Mans has no secondary motives. He just thought he was friends and he was taking your side by dumping on your ex. So the thing is that I'll read a question like that and I'll wonder if you actually believe the thing that you're saying. So again, a lot of you, right, might have a little bit of difficulty comprehending this fact, but the truth of the matter is that online is different from private. Public is different from private. Having a private conversation with an individual, having a private conversation with someone, right? Having a private thing with someone is vastly different from bringing up issues in front of an audience, letting your audience create these false narratives in their mind because you led them there, and then sitting there, having your audience wreak havoc based off of the things that you said, and then sitting there and saying, but I won't assume accountability because I'm just a silly guy and I was just joking around and bantering and I just care about the guy. Fuck off. Truly. And the thing is that I know 100%, I know that there are going to be people, maybe even a good amount of you, that are going to sit there and you're going to say, damn, Dantes, so you're really choosing, so in that situation, you really chose the girl over the friendship. And my answer to you would be that at no point did Laura ever make anything public until he did it first. And then she had to respond because she was getting constant comments. At no point did she sit there and she ask for any of it or anything. If that guy sat there and he was the primary instigator for a situation, what do you want me to say? I feel like the vast majority of people that can actually sit there and really comprehend where I'm coming from will be able to make that conclusion, you know? Because it's not a thing of like, a lot of people are trying to turn it into a thing of like bros before hoes or some like bullshit like that. But the truth is that no, it's not at all like that. It's I have someone that I was dating, someone that I fully trusted, someone that I love and still do, you know? And then if you're going to sit there and attack that person, how could you ever, like publicly, like guys, attacking that person publicly. Do you understand the difference now? Publicly. Shouldn't you work on your own problems as well? Being in a relationship when you're not willing to compromise is not good and you're paying too much attention to what people say about you. And the thing is, like, I completely understand that. You just have to understand that for me, it was like a situation where the truth is that when you sit there and for people that you're going, because I stream 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, right? I do long streams. I sit there, I made this career and this livelihood my life. I really did, right? And the thing is, when you're going to do that, it's impossible that you can't show who you are through your streams, right? And the problem is that when you're going to sit there and you're going to kind of like immerse yourself in the world of like, yeah, I'm like acquaintances with this guy. I'll call him a friend, you know? Like I'll sit there, I'll know that this guy's done kind of shady shit to me in the past, but I'll still interact with him for content, you know? And when you get so immersed and submerged into that world, it's almost like the fact that you could have something in your life that is true and its intentions are pure and all that stuff. It's not just that it's like hard for you to accept. It's the fact that it's almost like, it's like, how can you go live for 10, 11 hours, have a mask on, and then like have that mask come off for like 2, 3 hours, you know? So that's why the thing that I will say is that when it comes to the decision to split, because what you have to understand is that I think that there's a difference between making a decision to split and a decision to break up permanently, right? And the reason why, like, especially from the way the tweet was worded, it came across as a permanent breakup is because Laura had at the time told me that for her, it's like a boundary where like a split wasn't really a possibility, right? So I said, if I just need the split so badly that I'm willing to risk the, I guess, like permanent breakup so that I can actually really think about things and think of the way that I want my life to go, right? then that's something that I'm going to do. And the truth is that if she decides after all this that she looks at it and she's like, you know what, it's too much, I don't want to be with you, then, it's like you made a decision and you kind of like have to live with the consequences of the choice, right? Um, but I think that in the moment for me, the decision to split was something that I did really need, just so that I could really assess my entire life and tell myself what do I really want going forward. And that's the reason why I like say like scorched earth, because for me it's a thing where like I'm almost like tired of like the facades, I'm tired of like the games. I'm tired of the like social fucking battlefield, so to speak. I mean, don't get me wrong, for years I participated it and for years I lived it. But what kind of life is that to live? Like if I can sit there and I can say, "Oh yeah, let me just do that for a few more years, dude." But then every night I'm going to go to bed alone. I'm going to go to bed unhappy. I'm going to go to bed feeling unfulfilled. And then, I mean, it's like, what kind of decision is that? Why don't you just do the VOD reviews in Brazil, though? You let Tarzan life coach your challenger, but you didn't respect him in asking to just look over the games. Because the truth is that at the end of the day, could the situation in Brazil have gone much better? Yes. Right? What I'm trying to make you understand is, could I have sat there and could I have been like the absolute fucking like Giga Chad? And could I have been the guy that sits there and is like, yeah, guys, I'm going to overcome everything. I'm going to dedicate all this time. I got it, right? But it's almost like the stress of being the team captain and trying to find ways to manage like the personalities and make sure everything goes together cohesively, while also trying to make it so I was improving as a player, and then later also having to make it so that the tournament organization itself was functioning properly. It was just a lot of stress. Why did you use him for content though? Isn't he your friend? So this is like, again, I guess like it's a misconception that he's trying to push on his audience because it's the easiest way for people to think that he's the victim in this scenario. But the truth of the matter is that at the end of the day, right, when it came to my friendship with Tarzan, I respected it enough that I always said, what happens in private stays in private. When we sat there and for hours would talk about the situation with his ex, when we sat there and we would like, me and Laura would try to sit there and like find solutions with him and try to like understand the situation, give our input, give our advices, whatever it might be. We never used that for content. We never sat there and tried using it in any way because that's not something you do for content. The problem is though, that if someone's going to sit there and they're going to go on to use your personal relationship with them for content by sitting there and leaking private issues that you have among one another, then how could I ever sit there and view that guy as a friend anymore? How? And it would be so easy for someone to sit there and to be like, yeah, but dude, like, the thing is at the end of the day, like, like what happened. And it's just this like weird situation where, and you can say this, like, by God, I can stand by this. I am confident enough in myself and in the person that I have been that I'm willing to stand by this. But whenever I would have friends, whenever I would have other streamers that were going through private matters in their lives, right? Whenever they would ask me for advice, whenever they would tell me what bothers them, I would never go on my stream. I would never go to my community, and I would never broadcast their issues to a greater public because I understood that respect went beyond that, much beyond that. And if there is a person that is willing to sit there and say that they feel used because I don't consider them a friend anymore, The only thing they have to say is then all you have to do is look at your own actions. All you have to do is look at the things that you did. All you have to do is look at the things that you've done over the course of years to many other people, right? And then when you sit there and you can look at all those things, then you can reassess and tell yourself, what kind of person do I really want to be? And for me, in part, I've had to deal with that situation as well, During this breakup, asking myself, how have I been as a person over the last few years? What kind of person do I want to be going forward? And it's just a lot of questioning and stuff like that. But the only thing that you can do is, I guess, hope that you make the right decisions and hope that you progress yourself in the best way possible to set yourself up for a bright future, Just drop the bomb already. This shit's boring as hell. And see, this is the sad part about it all, Frog. This is the saddest part about it all, is that there is no bomb. There is no nuclear revelation or anything like that. It's legitimately just, why even bring this shit up? Do you see what I'm getting at now? And the problem is that I didn't have to respond, but I felt like I had to because I felt like it was the right thing. Because to sit there and to have a guy shit on Laura by saying, does this mean I'm invited over now? And take a pot shot at her when we're both at one of our lowest points ever, right? And to then have that man parade himself as this great friend, he can truly and genuinely, in all ways possible, go fuck himself. Truly. He really can. Like, that's not the kind of person I'd ever want to surround myself with. And if that's truly how he views life, and that's truly how he thinks that things should be handled, then I'm glad that I will never have to deal with him ever again. Right? And again, for all the people that are bringing up, like, Adontas, why are you just talking about league drama instead of talking about the actual breakup? The reason why is because, as I said before, Laura has been kind enough that over the last few days, we've still, like, maintained contact. And we're still, like, talking about things and really trying to, like, get our bearings with the whole situation. So when it comes to, like, the subject of the breakup, I don't want to broadcast it to the community because that's something that I want to talk to her about, right? So I'm not going to sit here and speculate on a bunch of things or talk about all these different, like, situations, because the thing is, at the end of the day, that's something for me and her to, like, figure out, Adontas, there is your side, his side, and the truth. Speak with him on stream to make the truth come out. Yeah, but so see, like, the thing is, I genuinely just have, like, nothing to say to the guy. I really don't. I was hearing him on stream early today lie about stuff. I was hearing him earlier today on stream talk about how he had some crazy nuke, which is literally just the fact that she brought up past problems in our relationship and afterwards said, but he's trying to get better, so it's okay. That's his nuke. So the thing is that this guy, he's always been the kind of person, and there's, like, listen, at the end of the day, right? If 100 people say a duck is a duck and you think it's a lion, is it really a lion? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if that guy in the entire league community has burned every single bridge he's ever built, has made, I guess, like, drama or an issue with almost every single content creator he's ever interacted with, if all of these things are true, then at what point are you going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, let's give him the benefit of the doubt again, Like, listen, if you guys want to sit there and you want to say, yeah, but Dantas, I still really like Tarzan, whatever it is, go watch him, But from my end, I'm not sitting here demanding that there's, like, this crazy revolt against him. I'm just sitting here and talking publicly about a situation that he decided to bring up publicly first. That's all I'm doing. That is legitimately all I am doing. That's all. I'm just talking about a situation that he brought up first. That's literally all. The only time that I can ever think that I publicly made shots first, the only time, was regarding LS, and it was when I was criticizing the fact that he said that you shouldn't run tier on Hecarim 2 years ago, and I made a video about it. And then he brought up the Avani situation, right? That happened 5 years ago, almost 6 now maybe. And then after that, we got in like a little thing on Twitter, and then it just died, and it was that, you know. But it's like every single content creator that I've ever had a falling out with, every single content creator that I've ever had issues with, I don't broadcast the issues that I had with them unless they do it, you know? Because I have enough respect for the, I guess, friendship that I had formed with them, the relation, whatever you want to call it, that I'm not going to sit there and just use it for content. But obviously, if they're going to do things first that kind of like drag my name, or in Tarzan's situation that drag Laura's name, right, or things like that, then 100%, 100% of the time, especially now, I'm willing to sit there and call shit as it is, you know? Because it's like that whole thing of like, how easy would it have been for me to just sit there and be like, oh yeah, Tarzan, like, we're cool again, and then just like, whatever. But no, it's not like that. Because it's just at a point now where it's like, I just CBA with that whole thing. I've done it for enough years that I'm not going to be a part of it anymore, right? At Dantes, Tarzan said that he has a nuke that is completely unrelated to the whole situation. Let him say it then. I'm going to be honest, like, listen, that man is just, I don't know. I just have like, what do you want me to say? I think he's disgusting, you know? If he wants to sit there and pretend like he has some kind of nuclear missile, let him launch it, you know? If he wants to sit there and pretend like he has this crazy thing that's going to go and that's going to fucking like ruin me or ruin Laura or ruin like anything, go for it, dude. Say it. But if you're going to sit there on a Discord call with me and threaten me that you have a crazy nuke that's going to ruin her, while at the time I was still with her, respectfully, you know what you should do. And I'll leave it at that. You know? Dantes, what's the situation with Huncho and Sanchovis? I missed it. Okay, so I talked about the Sanchovis situation. So the Sanchovis situation is just that the guy would a lot of the times sneak diss me on his streams. And there was one time where he had randomly blocked me on Twitter. And he also told DrewToot at one point that he had like an issue with me. And as a result, it made it so that during like one of the things that DrewToot hosted, I wasn't a part of it because of that, right? So that's the reason why I have a dislike for Sanchovis. As for Hancho, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I respect the kid's like work ethic. He's a good Hecarim player, whatever it is. But I just find it weird when people are gonna like undermine my achievements and the things that I've done to try and make themselves like seem better, you know? I mean, this might sound egoistic, but giving me the credit I deserved as a Hecarim player, and then that's the reason why I kind of like had a dislike for him. But I mean, I followed him recently, and I've been like watching his stuff, you know? Like, what do you want me to say? But that's not Huncho's fault at Dantes. Yeah, but when you're going to call a guy that's like a lower win rate than me, with less Hecarim games than me, the second best Hecarim in NA, when I've been gone from the region for almost 10 days, and I still outrank that guy, and his win rates dropped 15% to 30% on both of his accounts over the next few days, it's just a little bit weird, you know? Also, as for the situation that Laura wanted me to bring up, it's just kind of like a build-up on the whole thing. So again, when I was like, one of the issues is, again, that before dating, I was always doing like talking stages and stuff like that. And it would be like, again, like multiple talking stages at the same time. Because for me at the time, I just thought that like, if you sit there and you treat someone nice, you know, like you never insult them, you never hit them, you never like do anything bad against them, and you just treat them nice, that at the end of the day, if things end, that it's like not on you if they kind of like feel bad, if that makes sense, right? And there was a situation with Laura where during the second Korea trip, a lot of, I guess, like girls were DMing her past screenshots of me, past interactions that I had with them and all that kind of stuff. And during that, I kind of like came to the realization that you do have a little bit of accountability if you're going to sit there and say things that make someone feel a certain way, but then be like, yeah, but I can't, you know? So that was something that I kind of like struggled coming to terms with, the fact that like I acted wrongly in those situations, right? Where it's like I sat there and at the time I was like, yeah, but I'm just being nice. But then after it's like, yeah, but if you're being nice and even if you're saying that you don't have like long-term intentions, it kind of like you have attitudes that imply it, then it's also not the greatest, right? Hancho has a 70% rate challenge though. Yeah, I wasn't talking about Hancho. It's just because he made a list where he was talking about what he thinks are the best acronyms in NA. Number 3 was me, number 1 was him, and then number 2 was a guy that's 100 LP lower than me that was flexing a high win rate over 20 games when now the guy has 2 accounts that are like lower LP than mine, even though I haven't played in like almost 10. It's kind of like people just like do, I guess, sometimes like the wrong things when they try to make it. And yeah, it's like if you say the wrong thing about a guy and then he hears it, then he's not going to have a good view of you, right? At Dantes, the girl that made a post about you this morning, Rory, wasn't she caught pedo baiting and do a bunch of heinous crimes while being underage a few years ago? I mean, listen, she wants to sit there and say a bunch of shit about me, so I'll say something about her. There was this thing that I heard from someone that knew of her at the time, and they were saying that apparently, and again, this is all just something that I heard and led to the reason why I didn't want to talk to her anymore, obviously. But yeah, so that person was, I think, what? I don't know, actually. But they had a cousin that was there like half their age. And then, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say, she had a cousin that was half their age, maybe even like lower. And yeah, so that's like a story that I heard, which like led to it. So again, like, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to like pretend that that's, oh, guys, like, whatever. But if she wants to sit here and spread like fucking words about me, I mean, listen, we can both talk about the things that we've heard, right? If she wants to sit there and she wants to like pretend like I was some kind of cheater because I had like multiple talking stages that I broke off over a week before getting in an actual involved relationship with Laura, then she can sit there and fuck herself, right? So that's the reason why. It's just like for me, it's a thing where I feel like over the course of years, all these people have kind of like pretend that they have these crazy fucking like things. And it's just like, listen, if people really feel like they have something that they want to bring up against me, people really feel like, no, but look at this, look at this, look at this. It's like, I'm going to be honest with you, right now I'm at my lowest. Take your fucking shot. Go. Take your fucking shot. I'm just at a point right now where anybody that wants to sit there and they want to try me, do it. And I'll respond in kind, you know? And that's the reason why I say scorched earth, because I feel like over the course of years, especially being in this scene and this business, that you sit there and you hear things. Right? You hear things. And as you hear things, you're going to sit there and you're just going to kind of like put it in a box and never really open that box. But if people want to open that box in regards to me, right, then I'll not only open that box about myself, I'll open it about whoever wants to like try, you know? So that's just the way I see it. People are going to sit there, and the problem too is that like again, just because I can't understand how an individual can be that much of a freak, right? But especially when it comes like the whole Tarzan thing, the fact that he's willing to sit there and like 2 weeks ago on his stream say that he feels bad for me for having to date Laura, right? And then now on his stream, when I sit there and I'm the one after him, saying that he feels bad for Laura that she had to date me, it's just like how fucking like, I don't know. Listen, that guy's just gross, you know? It just says a lot about a person when you're 29 years old and the only people you have to talk to are your parents or the few people that are willing to bear with you so they can social climb off you, right? Like, that's all I have to say. And like from my end, I gave him the benefit of the doubt for the better part of a few years, even with a lot of people telling me to like stay away and all that shit, because I was like, yeah, but like he's kind of cool, he's kind of funny, like I kind of like talking to him. But the fact that he was willing to sit there and publicize everything about like his private disagreement that he had with Laura in front of thousands, that for me was the straw that said, yeah, you can never consider me a friend ever again. You know? And if people want to sit there, and if people want to go and they want to be like, oh, well, Dantes, you probably never considered him as a friend to begin with then explain to me why I wasn't the one that made the first shot, you know? Explain to me why I was the one that was just sitting there. Me and Laura were just sitting there in our respective own lanes doing our own thing, and then he was the one that sat there and started bringing shit up. But then he wants to like go live on his stream and pretend to be a victim and then call me the drama farmer? Fuck you. go fuck yourself, right? Would you give a second chance to people that are hypocrites? I mean, listen, I'm going to be completely brutally honest, right? I think that definitely over the last few years, have I had situations where I've been a hypocrite? 100%. 100%. Have I been in situations where it's like I hear something about someone that I was like doing a lot of content with, or like someone I was interacting with a lot or stuff like that, and then I chose to just kind of like ignore it and put it in the memory bank rather than actually confront them about it? Yes, right? Have I done that? 100%, you know? But for me, it's just a thing where it's like now I think that after years of being caught up in it, it's almost like you were in a tornado, and then now I can finally just almost see things for as they are, right? And the truth is that at the end of it all, I'd rather sit here and I'd rather be comfortable with being the person that I was, right, than be uncomfortable with the person that I came to be, if that makes sense. Dantes, private disagreement equals she banned him from going to your house over a joke. Of course he's going to talk about that, no. But why? Why, Deej? Answer me this question. If you have a disagreement with a friend of yours in class, right, and you sit there and you're like having a problem with him, are you going to later sit up and then during your oral presentation say at the end of it, oh yeah, guys, and by the way, why the fuck did he do that? Of course not. So this is the issue that you have to understand, is that when you bring things up in public, it's not like you're talking to a friend. When I bring up something on stream, it's not like I'm talking to a friend of mine. It's not like I'm just like confiding in someone or something like that. That is putting information on the internet that will never die, that can and will be misinterpreted, that people will sit there and try to dissect millions of different ways. And if you're doing that to others consistently, right, especially when it only ever leads to negative outcomes, fuck off, right? Dantes, you know how Tars is, though. He admitted that he shouldn't have done that. Nah, but dude, that's so disgusting, though, because the thing is that the truth is that he did, and then the fact that, like, this is your guys' problem. The problem is the fact that at the end of the day, the guy did it, and it was what it was. A situation unfolded, right? A lot of hate went towards Laura. Some hate went towards me as well, right? But everyone viewed Tarzan as this really great guy. And then to sit there yesterday, and when I post an emotional breakup tweet, right? To sit there and to take a pot shot at her because you wanted a private apology from me? Listen, I won't go into detail as to how you should feel about that, but I just want you to mull over it, think about it yourself, and think about how you would feel in my situation, right? And if you come to a different conclusion than I did, then respect your choice, but also respect mine. Just tell him that you didn't like the tweet instead of acting like a child. Am I the one acting like a child? Ask yourself that. The crazy thing to me is that do you not understand that making a public announcement, a public tweet, talking about something publicly automatically has outcomes, automatically. If he's going to sit there and he's going to shit talk and be like, oh, am I invited over now? Then I can guarantee you that many people are then going to go, right? Message her and be like, haha, Tarzan was right. So now, during an obvious time of distress, you're contributing more hatred. Fuck you. And fuck you for trying to justify it as well. Truly. Truly. Like, listen, if you're going to try to justify that, I don't want you watching the stream. Genuinely. I really don't. Why did you talk about it publicly then? Because if they bring it up first and you don't clarify and talk about it more, then what happens is it leads to misinterpretation. It leads to people having the bad idea of what actually happened. And it leads to lies being spread that then have a direct impact on the people that the lies are being spread about, because then they are affected, because they are the ones influenced when they get attacked by the community that has a false perception. You banned him from your house, which is essentially ending the friendship. Are you expecting that much from when you essentially ended your friendship then and there? I have nothing more to say to you. When I talked to him in a call, actually, I guess I do have more to say to you. When I talked to him in a call after we had our on-stream thing, right? Because we had our on-stream thing where he brought it up on his stream, and then I had to bring it up on mine, right? When that happened, okay, when this happened, afterwards, we resolved it. Resolved it in a way that none of us talked about the other. And then yesterday, he decides to break the resolution by again publicly commenting about it. I don't give a fuck if he thought it was just banter. I don't give a fuck if he thought it was just a joke. I didn't. I don't. And many people also don't, right? So, like, if he sits there and he wants to hide behind his shield that he's been hiding behind for the last 10 years, of that it was just banter, it's just a joke, he's not the same person online that he is IRL, then I really hope that he keeps that tune when he's 40 years old and he's living the same reality that he's living now. I really do. Are you ever going to change your morals or societal views because of shifts in perception? I mean, it's not a thing about changing morals. It's just that it's a thing of like, if you ask anybody that's in their 20s, if you're 25, you look at you when you were 20 and you say, how could I have ever thought like that? When you're 30, you think back to when you were 25 and you think, how could I have ever thought or viewed the world like that? You know, the truth is just that when you're in your 20s, especially, right? You're going to sit there and you're always going to change. You're going to change your views. You're going to change your ways of acting. You're going to change your ways of being, because that's just what being a person is. Being a person is being able to change and being willing to make changes, right? Adontas, by the way, did you say that there were no final decisions made between you and Laura? Yeah. Because the thing is, so again, like, for everyone new watching, the reason why I haven't really commented that much about the breakup, and it's just really been about drama, is because me and Laura are still, like, talking and trying to, like, figure shit out, right? I know you don't care about what I have to say, but there was no point in constantly taking jabs at the other person. Just defend yourself. The more you attack back will cause more retaliation and more people will get involved. Yeah, but so the thing about this, Ronan, is just that this is what it is, like, be online, right? Where you're going to have people that are going to sit there and they're going to go and, like, start shit, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, listen, for me, I didn't instigate any of this, you know? Like, if you want to sit there and you want to say, oh, well, like, you made, I guess, like, a breakup post public, I mean, sure, right? But if random people want to comment on shit like that, then that's one thing. But if people that are going to publicly claim themselves as being a friend of mine or stuff like that are going to act in the ways that they acted, right? Then that's just for me where I draw the line, you know? It's like, I think you shouldn't have made the breakup post if you're still trying to figure things out. I mean, so the thing is regarding this is like, I completely agree. And the reason why the breakup post was made in the first place, which is what I already explained like 3 times, is because at the time that it was made, Laura told me that if I needed time to really think about things, that, you know, like, she wouldn't be okay with the split. And then I said, okay. So it was pretty much just because at the time that it was done, she told me that she wouldn't be okay with the split, and I told her that I understood where she's coming from. So it's kind of like the only way to get, I guess, like, the split was to say that it was like a breakup. But I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's like, you can't ever predict how you're going to feel. You can't ever predict how things are going to, like, turn out. So that's the reason why she was willing to, like, talk to me and stuff. And we've been, like, discussing things and shit. So I don't know. We'll just see where things land. But there's no, like, I won't say there's any, like, guarantees about anything right now. Your whole breakup is kind of a joke, though. Oh, no, that's okay. Fine. Do you realize that shitty posts went viral and are being universally shit on? I mean, yeah, but, like, that's just the thing about being online. Because the thing about being online is that people are just going to sit there and they're going to say, damn, guy breaks up with a girlfriend and she was, like, kind of attractive, right? Like, from what they say. I mean, to me, I view it as way more than that, right? But, like, people are going to sit there and they'll be like, oh, damn, guy breaks up with attractive girlfriend. And then if there's not, like, a reason why that's, like, cheating or shit like that, then obviously they're going to shit on you for it, right? Like, it's like the whole thing where back in the day, Face Censor, when he broke up with Yanet Garcia, I don't know if you guys remember that, and everyone was like, damn, dude, like, the guy broke up with her to play COD, but it's just that sometimes it's about way more than that, you know? It's like the truth of the matter is that if I was, like, I don't know, a hockey player or a basketball player, or I guess like an actor, you know, I feel like most people would have been like, oh, okay. But then because it's like video games, they don't understand that video games are a career, right? So it's just that kind of like misconception. You said in your post that you're focusing on your career, but wouldn't that career help realize both of your dreams later in life? Yeah, well, that's the question, you know? Like, because the thing that you guys have to understand is I feel like one of the problems is that when people see people online, you kind of like think that we know what we're doing, you know? Like, you kind of think like, oh yeah, this guy's online, like, he knows what's going on. But, I mean, the truth is, bro, that at the end of the day, I'm just going through, I guess, like, similar mental, like, struggles or whatever it might be that everyone else is, right? So, do I always know if I'm making the right decision? No. Do I always know if I'm doing the right thing? No. Do I always know if, like, things are gonna end in the right way? No. Do you have beef with anyone else or just Tarzan? I mean, so, like, from my end personally, I wouldn't say that I necessarily have, like, beef with anyone. Because, like, for me, the way that I've always seen it is if I have, like, a problem with someone, right? Then it's like that can just stay as is if they aren't, like, whatever. But if the thing for me is just that when it's like the separation of public and private, you know? Like if someone publicly on their stream is gonna sit there and like say things, then publicly I'll have to respond, right? But if they reach out privately and they're like, yo, I think we've had an issue, then for me that's always something that I'm willing to like talk through. Adontas, why'd you blackmail Tarzan? Is that what he's still saying on his stream? No. So again, I talked about this earlier. Um, I talked about this earlier, but Tarzan's version of blackmail is essentially he told me that he had a nuke against Laura that if he went public with would ruin her. And I told him, I was like, well, if you consider me a friend, then you would tell me about it. If you truly consider me a friend, then you're not going to sit here and just hold on to that, right? And then he later told me that his nuke that would have ruined her, right, is that we had relationship issues that she talked about in front of them. And then afterwards, at the end of it, she was like, yeah, but he's trying to learn and get better, so it's okay. Nice nuke, you know? And that's what's like sad to me is the fact that the guy's like willing to sit there, say that shit, and then people think he's some kind of like crazy fucking like mastermind, like great guy because he's not dropping the crazy nuke. Yeah, nice fucking crazy nuke, moron. But Tarzan did approach you multiple times, though, did he not? No. Literally no. Literally no. So what happened is that I was the one after the flight that messaged him first because I was like, yo, we need to talk about everything that happened. And then we like somewhat resolved it. After we somewhat resolved it, he went behind my back to message multiple people and like other streamers and stuff that me and Laura had talked about in situations that we brought up to him about them. And he was shit talking her to them. Then a few days later, when that wasn't enough, he sat there, did it live on his stream in front of thousands, right? Had all of it uploaded to YouTube as well through like clip channels and shit like that because obviously it's going to happen to send even more hatred to her. And then when I had a response and I was like, what the fuck? We later resolved it later that night. But then today, again, this morning, he's unwilling to let it drop and he takes a pot shot at her on Twitter. He can fuck himself. Adontas, don't you agree though that you're a cringe for talking about a death threat IRL when it was obviously a joke? This is what I hate. So Kinky Mouth, listen. Tarzan is a good League of Legends player. He's a horrible person. The problem with him is that he will always hide behind the excuse of it was just banter, it was just a joke. I watched this man stand 2 meters in front of TF Blade, in front of a table, with veins popping out in his throat, screaming at TF Blade in Farsi that he was going to kill him, right? Saying shit against his family, telling him that they should fight right then. Does that sound like a joke to you? Does that sound like a joke to you? But it was just banter, bro. Fuck off. And I hope with that realization you can understand why I will never want anything to do again. And the most disgusting thing about it too, I'll tell you what the most disgusting thing. Holy shit, it's turning light outside. Fuck. Anyways, so the most disgusting thing about it too is that then that man, right? That man is then willing to go and play like he's some kind of like victim and that like he was the one that was like kicked around when he's the one that starts every issue, literally. Almost every one. He sits there, shits on 4 of his teammates in Brazil for not being willing to VOD review with him when the only thing the VOD reviews were just like a public fucking like almost like insulting of your level of skill, right? It wasn't actually anything constructive. And then he would sit there, and when we said we didn't want to, he would just do it alone. Criticize us on his stream for hours upon hours every single day. Look at what he's doing wrong. Look at what he's doing wrong. Look at what he's doing wrong. Because he is obsessed with the idea of people thinking a certain way, right? And the thing is, I care about my public image too, 100%. I 100% do. But am I going to sit there and am I going to ruin other people's public images to better my own if they don't do anything against me first? Of course not, you know? But then that guy was willing to go there in front of stream, in front of thousands, and you guys all saw it. And every single day, you know, my chat would be filled with, Dantes, you're the shittiest player ever. Let Tarzan jungle. And while I'm always sitting there and I'm always like having to deal with all these other stresses, then having to deal with that stress too. Nice. But guess what, guys? Guess what? When we confronted him, yeah, but you shouldn't view it that way. You're just being a little too emotional right now. This is actually good for you. Because the thing is that as a man, you should just sit there, stick up and just be like, yeah, whatever, dude. And then just like rise against all odds. Cool, bro. Rise against all odds. How about keeping that tune now when people shit on you for the stuff that you did over the course of the last few weeks? And instead of sitting there and trying to like find a way to victimize yourself, how about you listen to your own fucking advice? And as a real man, you stick up, acknowledge that what you did was fucked up, right? Bringing public light to private matters and shit like that, especially being the first one to do it, and then sitting there and taking accountability and bettering yourself. How does that sound? Let's see if you're willing to listen to your own advice. And if you are, props to you. If you're not, nice hypocrisy. I don't think publicizing the breakup was the only choice, to be honest. Yeah, but you have to understand that, like, at the time that it was done, right? Because you can always look back in hindsight and say, like, what should have been done, what could have been done, what would have been done under better circumstances. But you have to understand that, like, at the time, I was under the impression, and so was she, that if a split were to happen, it would be permanent. That's what you have to understand. And then it's only like after everything was kind of like settled, that then the realization kind of hits. And then it's like, you know, you're like, oh, wait a second. And then you kind of like, so that's why like I keep saying that again. The reason why I'm not bringing up the breakup is because it's still something that we're discussing, and it's still something that we're trying to like figure out for ourselves, right? Like, so that we can both make decisions that we're both like comfortable with. So I don't want to like bring you guys in on that when the person I should be bringing with in on that is her, right? Dantes, but why did Yamato say that Tarzan is a good person with a good heart? Listen, I don't want to drag Yamato into this, but I consider Yamato a good friend of mine, 100%, and I only hope that he'll stand by the things that he told me in regards to how he viewed Tarzan if he's questioned about it. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to like feed the fuels, but all I'm going to say is that if Tarzan's sitting here and painting a certain light of what Yamato was saying about him, then I only hope, because truth be told, I don't think I ever heard once Yamato say that he thinks Tarzan's a good person with a good heart. If anything, Yamato was kind of like always mad at Tarzan because the only thing Tarzan would do was go up to him and say, yo, do you miss her? And then eventually one day they had like a big blow up over it, right? But no, I mean, listen, if that's what he's saying now, then I don't know. But I can only hope that if he's asked about it, that he gives the same response that he gave to me, right? Are you going to keep up the YouTube videos that you made with Tarzan then? I mean, do you guys think I should take them down? Because again, this is like a whole situation where like, I don't really know how to like navigate it. But yeah. No. Dantes, new Tarzan tweet. He has me blocked. Why are you flaming the VOD review thing? The purpose of the whole thing in Brazil was to win Doaenel. So wanting to VOD review in order to do better is a good thing. No, if the objective of the chip was just for content, then there's a different story then. So, Danny, do you remember earlier when I was talking about publicizing things versus keeping things private. If you're on a team and all 4 players are kind of saying like, yeah, we don't really want a VOD review, and then you decide to publicly do VOD reviews, and you decide to publicly sit there and point out everyone's mistakes, talk about what everyone's doing wrong and all that stuff, do you not think that there could be some kind of intent that maybe I could turn myself into the victim here? Do you not think like, because if you're truly invested in just getting better and improving and stuff like that, why not just focus on your own gameplay? Why not just sit there and afterwards, like VOD review by yourself after the stream ends, like really sit there and like ask yourself, okay, what's going on? Why do it all publicly, right? So again, it's a thing where it's public versus private, and at the end of the day, if you guys don't have the same views on this that I do, then I respect that, but that's just my view on it. Tarzan said, I won't let a liar call me a liar. Okay, well, he can say whatever he wants, dude. Like, at the end of the day, I've talked about the whole situation as much as I think I can. At this point, I'm just repeating myself. If anyone has, like, any other questions of stuff that I didn't, like, get into, then, yeah. Why lead Laura on for so long, even though you knew you didn't want a relationship, though? So again, this is, like, another misconception, is it's not a thing of, like, leading someone on. It's just a thing of, like, sometimes having thoughts of, like, okay, is my thought process going to, like, change? And then just, like, giving yourself time to really, like, sit there and see if things change going as they are. And then it's just, like, eventually, if you feel like no progress is made as things are, then, like, you don't want to keep going down that path. Did you like the bagel Cajal ordered? Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been living with Cajal for, like, what, a day and a half now? And the guys have been, like, a fucking blessing, bro. Like, honestly. Like, not to, like, glaze or anything, obviously, right? But, I don't know. He sits there and he knows that I haven't eaten that much, so it's, like, he'll, like, order stuff. He'll, like, ask if we want to, like, go out, get stuff to eat. Whatever it is. We've talked a lot about a bunch of different things. And, yeah. I mean, like, I've even told him some things I never told anyone, and then it's, like, in one day of knowing, like, you sit there and then kind of have that, like, click. So no, I mean, it's been nice because like just have someone to like talk to. It's been nice. Adantes, Tarzan said that Laura made fun about him dying alone. Is that true? Do I really need to bring up everything? Bro, I can't. Laura, should I talk about it? Should I talk about his situation in Brazil? Because if he's gonna sit there and say that shit, I'm gonna be honest, I just wanna fucking like say it. Like, you tell me yes or no. Do you think right now I should say it? No, don't do it. It's not our business. The thing is, I agree it's not our business, but it's the fact that, like, if you're saying things in regarding to that situation, and then he's sitting there, right? And he's, like, bringing up these things you said in regard to that situation, it's a little fucking strange, That's why. I really can't take it. Okay, yeah. No worries, son, no worries. Okay, so I won't bring it up, but all I'm going to say, chat, is, like, in regards to Tarzan, completely shit person, horrible individual. There's a reason why no one likes him. There's a reason why the only people that talk to him are his parents. He's ruined every single friendship, almost, that he's ever had for the reason that he's just a horrible individual, right? And in regards to anything that he's going to say about things that Laura said or stuff like that, just know that, yeah, there are private matters in his life that we're going to, like, not talk about. And if he wants to sit there and he wants to, like, talk about things that she said about, like, him dying alone or whatever it might be in regards to situations that he was involved in that we don't think we'd want to bring up since he never brought them up on his stream personally, right? I'm not saying that they're necessarily bad, but a little bit strange for sure. Then we'll see, right? But yeah. Please kiss Sanchovis on the cheek. I mean, listen, if Sanchovis is watching the stream, I want him to reach out to me because I genuinely never understood why he randomly blocked me once and then why he would, like, say that we had, like, this big problem or anything like that when in my eyes nothing ever happened between us two, right? So if he's, like, watching right now, then the only thing that I ask is that he sit there and, like, talk to me because I don't know what happened. Yeah. Did you trash talk Brazil like Tarzan said? I said the things I said on stream about Brazil. What I said about Brazil was that the thing that I hated the most about Brazil in general was the fact that every single person that we ever met in real life was such an angel, literally. The waitresses, the fucking the guy for the Airbnb that we were staying at, all of that stuff. The actual people we met, they were all amazing people. The thing is though, that I hated the online scene so much. I hated a lot of, I guess, like the shitty behaviors I had noticed and a lot of the Brazilian streamer personalities and stuff. And I just hated so much stuff about the online scene that it led me to having a super negative view of Brazil, right? Which I talked about. So yeah, when I would say shit like, dude, I fucking like hate it here, of course I'm going to say that because for me, my experience was mostly online and the online experience was negative, right? And that's why I still think that like my biggest I think honestly, like my biggest, the saddest thing that I find about the whole Brazil trip is that I genuinely think that if it would have gone the way that it was planned, you know, if it would have gone in a way where like we're sitting there and Brazil would have been like sitting there and fucking like having the meet and greets and being able to like meet the fans and being able to like put ourselves out in like the public eye and being able to meet them, I think it would have been such an amazing 180 experience. But the problem is that yeah, it just turned very sour and left a huge sour taste in my mouth. At Dantes, it feels like you are going out of your way to make people hate on Tarzan and side with you, with no real proof. It's manipulative if neither you have proof, so go on VC, or there's just going back and forth with no truth or conclusion. So my answer to you at the end of the day is observe behaviors, right? If you want to sit here and you want to say one guy is saying one thing, another guy is saying another thing, whatever it might be, observe behaviors. Observe the fact that Tarzan sat there and he said on his stream that he never encouraged anybody to shit on me as a jungler, but anybody who watched his streams over the course of that period of weeks can 100% attest to the fact that it did indeed happen. You know, it's like at the end of the day, sit there and realize the fact that this guy has gone through the same exact thing time and time and time and time again, right? With a bunch of different people, fucking had a drama with TF Blade, had a drama with Yasuo, had a drama with I Will Dominate, right? Like, you have to understand that this guy has sat there and burnt every single bridge that he's ever had, and in the most amount of the cases, he was the one to throw the first shot, literally. Literally. He was the one to just randomly bring up something unprompted, the one to leak a random personal information, all of that shit, because for him, he doesn't care, right? And if you sit there and you realize the contents of his character, right, then I'm sure you can come back to an actual grounded conclusion, you know? And then for all those people that are going to say, well, what about the dramas you have? Again, those people started at first with me. This Tarzan situation is one that he 100% started because he just wanted to, you know? And I'm not going to be a part of his fucking like, I'm just not going to be a part of that anymore. Check phone? Wait 1 second. Wait, where's my phone? Fuck, where's my phone? Oh, there it is. Like, okay, so just to give you guys an idea, right, of the kind of person he is. Like, just to give you guys an idea on the kind of person he is, he's sitting there and DMing Brazilian content creators, right? Brazilian content creators. Yo, Dantes and Laura said this thing about you. Because there was one point where we were supposed to meet up. Yeah, Charisma, I said that I didn't talk about our thing. I just said that we're gonna like talk about it after stream so we can like come to a resolution. But no, so what Tarzan's doing, no one said, okay. But yeah, so Charisma, I just said that I was gonna like talk to after. But yeah, so what Tarzan's doing right now is there was a situation where we were supposed to meet up with a streamer couple and kind of like go out in the city. And then what ended up happening was they kind of like stopped responding, whatever. And now Tarzan is going out of his way to contact those Brazilians that he's never talked to before in his entire life, saying like, yo, Dantes and Laura are saying that you ghosted them, by the way. Like, this is legitimately the kind of person he is, bro. He's a 29-year-old, literally, I don't know, it's like the body of a man, but the mind of a fucking like toddler in a way. I genuinely just don't know what else to say. At Dantes, he was screaming, challenging you to a boxing match earlier today on his stream. But that's what I'm saying is like, dude, okay, the thing that I like is I just like how pathetic it is. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that like kind of like the funniest thing about it all? Just how pathetic of a human being he is? Like, you are a 29-year-old man. Everyone you have a disagreement with, you challenge them to a boxing match. Newsflash, buddy. The only fight that you ever got in was when you got sucker punched at a soccer game, right? Got your fucking like jaw broken and then filed charges against the guy. Nice. That's the extent of your fighting experience. But sit there and go off about how you'll kill everyone, how you're gonna find them, how you want to like go crazy on them. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just sad. Like, it's legitimately just sad. And then you know what the worst part about it too is? If I wouldn't clarify this second part, he would challenge me to a boxing match. Because like, the thing is, he's going to hear me say that and he's going to say, well, if he's willing to say that, get him in the ring. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so crazy. It is legitimately crazy. That's really messed up, Dantes. I mean, think it's messed up, dude. You know what I think is messed up? Sitting there and using a private matter that you have between yourself and a friend for content. And then sitting there and trying to like shit talk and send like targeted attacks against a friend of yours, partner, right, at the time, because you just didn't feel right about the whole situation. That's what I think is fucked up. So respectfully, if you want to sit here and say, dude, like, don't say that, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything that I've said during this stream is 100% what should have been said or anything like that. But listen, you know, it's like, what do you want me to do? He's right, though. You are only appealing to morality by saying that he was toxic or fucked up in the past. 3 hours ago was the past. 10 hours ago was the past. The behavior that he displayed 10 hours ago, him doing it 12 hours ago was the past. Really? Yeah, dude, it's the fucking past. I'm not the same man I was 5 minutes ago, you know? It's like, what do you want me to say? Did you or Tarzan pay for dinners IRL? Okay, so just to give you guys a little bit more context on why Tarzan is a disgusting person. So on his stream today, because I was watching a little bit, on his stream today, the guy sits there and says, while we were in Brazil, Dantes and Detention were the two people who paid for almost nothing. Meanwhile, Tarzan, during Brazil, had told almost literally everybody that out of everyone, me and him were the two people that covered the most, and the people that he had the issues with were Detention and Yamato, actually. Every single person that was a part of the trip can attest to that. The two biggest people he had issues with when it came to spending were Yamato and Detention, right? Those are the two people. But of course, if you have a disagreement with a guy, let's start spreading literal blatant lies against them, because why not? And you know what the crazy thing about it too is? If he were to ever watch the stream and respond to it, he would sit there, gloss over this, be like, yeah, I guess that was true. And then he like keeps going, right? It's like the guy, I don't know. What about the time you tried to start a conspiracy against LS over the TF Blade Korea drama? Respond, please, because it seemed like you started shit for 0. So with that thing, it wasn't spreading a conspiracy. And when we were in Korea, I actually brought LS on my stream, right? 5 minutes after talking about what someone told me, so that he could clarify and give his position. Okay? Because the thing is about me, is that I was, and I still am, aware of the words that I say. So obviously I don't want to sit there and like spread misconceptions or like lies or stuff like that for people that it's completely unwarranted. At Dantes, can I be neutral in this situation? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it depends on how you view me, right? If you view me as a content creator and you enjoy my content and stuff like that, then I'd completely understand you being like, oh yeah, this drama was fun. I was entertained for a few hours. It is what it is, right? But if you view me as a person that I am, and you view me as like, I guess like the individual that I am, then I guess it's like a bit different, right? So it just depends. Like at the end of the day, I won't tell you how to feel about everything. The only thing that I'll do is talk about everything, respond to everything, and then just let you form your own conclusion. I think you care too much about what randos think about online. I mean, I said this earlier, dude. My entire career, my goals, my aspirations, my time investment over like literally the last years is my stream. And part of being a streamer is about your public perception. How could it not matter to me? So it's just like a situation right now where for me, I just kind of like want to see where everything lands. Uh, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll wake up, I'll take the day as it comes, and yeah, I mean, hoping for the best, but we'll see, right? But anyways, I do want to thank you guys all for listening. In the sense that I always like talking to you guys and kind of like letting you in on what's going on and all that kind of stuff. Uh, so yeah, so that's the thing. It's just that I think I'm just gonna like take it as it comes, see what happens. You guys are probably gonna see, especially over the course of the next few days, a lot of cinema on Twitter, to say the least. Just because people like kicking you when you're down, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm just not at a point where I'd accept it. So yeah, you guys are probably gonna see a version of me that I've never really brought out before, but should be interesting, to say the least. Are you gonna take a break from streaming? I'll be live again tomorrow. I mean, I have to be live again tomorrow, so I'll be live again tomorrow. So the only thing is that, I don't know. It's just I don't think taking a break from streaming is gonna help me in any way, but we'll see. But yeah, so anyways, with that being said though, I want to thank you guys all for everything today, for everyone that did listen, for everyone that did lend an ear, kind of like listen with an open mind and all that stuff. I know that there are going to be some of you that never watch me again. To those people, I want to thank you for the time they did give. For the people that will continue to, I want to thank you guys all for still staying. But yeah, I just think that this trip is a lot about having a lot of changes, and I feel like I'm making the right choices.